The story begins with Hutch, who we see is injured, with drops of blood on his hands and an expression that reflects that he has had a terrible day. In front of him are two police detectives, who have no idea who Hutch is. However, they are very curious to know where he learned to do everything that is written in the report. To understand this, we must go back in time. We start on Monday, a common day for the family. They make breakfast, attend classes, walk the dog, and spend time together in an almost identical routine every day. Or at least that was the case until Friday, when Hutch arrived at dawn and decided to sleep in the basement so as not to wake his wife. That's the excuse he made up for her not to see the bruises. In addition, her son has a black eye and does not know what happened because he does not tell her anything. That afternoon, during work, Hutch begins to doubt whether his family is really so satisfied with the quiet life he adores so much. She feels that the lack of emotion is affecting her marriage and she needs to remedy it. But her moment of reflection is interrupted by the arrival of her clients, and it is time to earn her bread. After doing what he does best, Hutch returns to the barber and notifies him that the targets have been successfully neutralized, although he would like to receive a warning about how much they will be next time, as it was somewhat complicated. Despite the difficulties, Hutch managed to obtain something else, a memory card that assures him a bonus for his work. Up until that point in the story, the barber was not impressed. He had mentioned that there would be 4 guards, and that is what happened, until Hutch left the elevator with the card. Russians with machine guns were not a problem, but Brazilians with machetes were not included in the report they gave him. Although he was able to finish them all, this generated some curiosity in him. And why he is her trusted partner, the barber, he is so poorly informed about who is looking for her, he promises to investigate more about it, but he has another assignment. Hutch would love to send him to hell. Let's remember that in the previous film, he burned a lot of money that did not belong to him. Now that has become a debt that he is obliged to pay. Hutch asks the barber for a break, but warns him that if he doesn't work, he can't guarantee that nothing bad will happen to him or his family. Hutch knows that he will not live to pay all that sum, so he decides to present his family with an idea, a family trip out of state. They, who haven't dated in years, are a little excited, although Hutch presents the idea with great enthusiasm. In the end, he acts like the sad father who wants more time with his children, and they accept with a bit of pity for their old man, but demand that he take his grandfather, who is quite a character and who is already fed up with the asylum. This is how the journey begins, by car, without phones and only with cash, the best way to leave no trace of where they're going, while Hutch looks for a way out of the mess in which he finds himself. When you arrive at the first destination, it is the hotel that is very old. However, they do it for their old man, and the boys endure for the moment. Although Hutch booked the honeymoon suite, it takes a while for his wife to adjust, especially to the hotel's odd atmosphere. Later that day, Hutch tries to take his family to the water park, but someone thought it would be a good idea to jump from the tallest tower with an inflatable. But with the park firm, the family goes out to eat quickly and tries to enjoy the rest of the vacation. Fortunately, the park has an arcade where everyone can get a little distracted by the games and that are now considered retro. There, Hutch tries to bond with his son Brady, hoping that he might tell her about the black eye he had the other day. However, Brady prefers to leave with his sister, and shortly after, he catches the attention of the local bully. Brady tries to handle the situation calmly, but when he destroys his sister's stuffed animal, things get interesting. Hutch intervenes non-violently, but when a manager kicks them out and treats his son badly, something in his eyes reveals that he intends to return, and that is precisely what happens. Hutch walks 2 blocks away with his family, pretends to have forgotten his phone, and returns to the arcade. The manager, although he beats Hutch by 20 kilos, does not stand a chance against him, who only stops to listen to his wife's voice. He realizes that his entire family has returned to him, and they have now witnessed the same violent monster they knew before, despite the fact that their father had promised them that he would leave that life behind. His son sees him as a hero, but Hutch explains that there is something about violence that he cannot control. Although he may think so, for Hutch, it is a problem that he really tries to leave behind. The sheriff takes Hutch to his office, where Bill Martin, the father of the thug Brady punched, is waiting for him. Bill is a rich man, and in this forgotten town, that makes him someone powerful, enough for the sheriff to be his puppet. The sheriff explains to Hutch that his son injured his son's arm. These kinds of transgressions have led others to the grave in the past, and it looks like they will do the same with Hutch. Very calmly, Hutch explains to Bill that his son annoyed his, and the arcade guard hit his daughter on the head. Both are parents and would have acted in the same way. With this, Hutch achieves a truce and Bill leaves them there, but the sheriff has other plans. As soon as they arrive in the room, Becca accuses her husband of not having left his old job behind, but he promises her that he is making a great effort. She doesn't believe him and finds a black suitcase that Hutch had hidden in the room. Believing there are weapons, he opens it, but it actually contains some special things for a dinner party he had planned, starting with a bottle of wine from the date they met. Becca admits her mistake. She expected to find weapons, but her husband has shown her that he strives to put his past behind him and be a good father. Having regained his wife's trust, the next day is full of fun. Hutch shows you all the amazing attractions the park has. He is old, but here he lived his best childhood years. However, when he notices that some officers are following him and taking pictures of his family, he sends them out for a boat ride and stays behind to deal with them. Hutch boards another boat and 4 men join in, telling him he should have taken his family and walked out, but now he has become a nuisance to the sheriff. The 4 men lunge at Hutch, who fights everyone at the same time and manages to punch each one. The situation becomes serious when one of them cuts off the tip of your thumb. Hutch tries to retrieve the piece, but it ends up being a fish's dinner, which angers him even more. Not only are they ruining your vacation, it has also left a permanent mark on you that you won't be able to hide from your family. Like Child's Play, Hutch defeats every one of them, making sure they all lose something important. Then you head back to shore and wait for your family to return from the boat ride to continue the holiday. He takes a few moments to call Harry, his foster brother, and ask him why the town isn't as perfect as it was when they were kids. Harry replies that, although the memories are still present, the years have passed and an evil has taken over the place. People call it Wildville. Civilians believe their money comes from parks and hotels, but in reality they have an empire that includes drugs, weapons, and some radioactive packages that would put the government on alert. While making sure that everything is going well in the office, the sheriff receives the news that his men lost to Hutch and that he is still in town. Hutch then calls the barber, who believes he will continue working, but Hutch informs him that he has gotten into trouble in a nearby town and would like to extend his leave for a few more days. The barber asks him the name of the village and offers his support, hoping that he will return soon to continue his business. He tells him about Lendina, the person in charge of everything and extremely dangerous, with whom even he does not dare to do business, someone with whom he does not play and who kills without remorse. The barber warns that it is not a good idea to confront her, so he advises Hutch to stay away from that situation and return immediately. Maybe you can arrange an apology or something immediate. Returning to Bill, he talks to Lendina to clarify that it will be his last shipment, that they will no longer be partners, but she does not like to be told no. As soon as Bill hangs up the phone, Lendina calls the sheriff and tells him that Bill needs a reminder of who's boss. Something about your child might make you reconsider. The sheriff soon understands Bill's son tied up and ready to be sent. Before he can complete the task for the Lendina, Hutch appears with a canister of gas and scatters it over a mountain of money in front of him. Since the place has enough explosives to blow them up, the sheriff chooses to remain calm and asks Hutch what he is doing there. Hutch knows that all of this belongs to Lendina, so if he burns it, she won't be happy at all. He could kill them all, but the sheriff won't be able to run far. However, this situation can end here and now. Hutch will keep the lighter if the sheriff promises to leave it alone. That's all he wants since he arrived in town. Although the sheriff would love to kill him, he's about to close a deal with Lendina that will earn his trust and could replace Bill as a partner, so he accepts the deal. But Max, Bill's son, ruins everything by getting out of the truck and showing himself to Hutch, who knows very well that he will be killed for his father's sins. Despite his will, Hutch decides to return to his family, as he has gotten what he wanted. There's no need to look for more trouble. However, back off and back to the place to do what you do best. From inside the van, Max can only watch as this family man murders a group of guys in cold blood. Yes, that was a saw in the face. Hutch frees the boy, starts a huge fire, and burns all the money once again. They then escape, while the sheriff tries to put out the fire so as not to lose his mind when Lendina finds out, but forgets the explosives and the whole place becomes a fireball. Lendina quickly learns what happened. Not only did he lose tens of millions, but also the cargo he had promised to his partners. This puts her in a very bad mood and orders that they find the person responsible. However, he finds it hard to believe that a damn tourist who is in a lost town with his family has ruined his deal, so he decides to travel to see it with his own eyes. Hutch returns to his family and takes Max with him. The boy soon apologizes to Brady when he realizes what his father is capable of. Becca is very disappointed. Finally, they were happy, and she has ruined everything again. If you plan to do this again, you can leave, but you won't have a family to return to. Hutch heads to Max, who shows him his father's barracks. There he finds Bill getting drunk, convinced that his son is already resting in a box, but after explaining what happened, Bill calms down, although he almost pees his pants when Hutch tells him that he burned the entire shipment. There is no doubt that Lindina will come for them and bring an army with him, so they must prepare. Luckily, Bill loves guns and has enough guns to cause a lot of destruction. To beat her, they need a place they know well, and since Hutch grew up at the park, they plan to do it there. Then to help, Harry makes an appearance, and Hutch's father also has the experience for one more day of action. His war years have given him experience with explosives, and in a single day, he turns an amusement park into a sea of lethal traps. Before unleashing chaos, the sheriff tries to resolve the situation and curry favor with the Lindina, but Hutch and Bill send him to hell. He is no longer useful to her. The action begins and a full unit goes through the park, armed to eliminate two parents who just wanted to enjoy their vacation. They are slowly eliminated one-on-one in the most unexpected and interesting ways. With every one of Lindina's men dying in an incredible trap, his frustration grows even more. The elite unit had never failed, but now a 100-year-old man with an ancient weapon turns his men to ashes. Once her men are defeated, Lindina shows up to do the job herself. She almost succeeds, but at the last second a dart pierces her chest, fired by Becca, who will not allow her husband to be killed. The dart has enough tranquilizer, and it seems that Lindina will go to prison, or so they thought, until Grandpa gets excited about the explosives and unleashes chaos when everything explodes. Hutch and his wife save themselves by jumping into the pool, but the explosion can be seen from miles away. A passionate kiss that Hutch had wished to have with his wife since the start of the holiday ensues. Then in the interrogation room where it began, but this time Hutch is with his wife and a call from someone influential assures them of his immediate freedom. And so this story ends. I hope you liked it. Leave me in the comments you thought. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to see you next recap. See you later.